Hey guys, it's Michelle Tam from Nom Nom Paleo, and I'm coming on live in my kitchen just like I do every Wednesday, unless I'm traveling. Like last week, I was traveling in Denver, but this week we are back. So today I'm going to show you how to make my easy paleo meatloaf, which I've been making a lot because we love it. It's a quick and easy way to get meat and veggies into my family's belly. And it actually is a really great recipe that you can make ahead, and I fry up slices, and it's like tasty for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So today I have my younger son Ollie helping out. I have my older son Owen behind the camera, and he reads out the questions out loud to me that I can't see. And then behind the scenes, we have Lauren Wade, our master builder, behind the scenes in Arizona, and he types answers to all your questions. So today, just like every time we have Facebook Live, we have a prize for you. To one lucky viewer, just say a comment or say hello during the live broadcast, and Lauren will randomly pick someone that's going to win. What is this, Ollie? This is an 8-pack of Hue Kitchen chocolates. It's a variety pack. They're not a sponsor. I reached out to them because I love their chocolate, and Valentine's Day is coming out. I actually bought these so you guys would see what these would look like. But I think you guys will like them a lot. They're all paleo friendly. There's no weird stuff in it. There's no palm oil, no dairy, no refined sugar, no gluten, no cane sugar, no emulsifiers, no sugar alcohols, no soy less than, but they're all super tasty. And I love Hue Kitchen. If you happen to be in New York City, they have a really fantastic restaurant that I go to every time I'm in New York because everything is delicious and paleo friendly. And their chocolates are amazing. And the chocolates you can actually buy online. Like you can buy it on their site, and you can buy it on Amazon and a bunch of other places. And I think there are lots of stores that carry them as well. But that is what is on tap today is chocolate, paleo friendly chocolate. But first, I'm going to show you how to make my easy paleo meatloaf. And what I really like about this recipe is I'm able to cram in a whole bunch of vegetables into this recipe. And you guys don't seem to care. Like, I think you guys are okay with all the vegetables in here. Because there is 20 ounces of frozen spinach, a cup of rice cauliflower. This is actually a mix of rice cauliflower and broccoli. But the fresh stuff for this actually works better than the frozen stuff. The frozen spinach or kale works, but I squeeze out all the liquid. But I use fresh rice cauliflower. And then I add about a cup of sliced onions or shallots or leeks, whatever type of allium or the onion family that you have lying around. Just cut it up really small. I add some minced garlic, top it with some bacon, and I season it all with my magic mushroom powder, which the recipe is on the blog, so you can totally make this recipe yourself. It is in our Red Book, on the app, on the blog, so it's totally open source. But if you want to, you can also buy it at all brick and mortar Whole Foods in the United States. If you can't find it, just ask customer service because sometimes it's hidden somewhere weird. And if they don't have it, you can always call them to order it for you. But that's what I'll be using. Okay, so what I have here is I have 20 ounces of frozen spinach that I thawed. And so frozen spinach, what I love about it is you don't have to wash it or chop it. Because it's already washed and chopped. But there's a lot of liquid in it, and so after you thaw it, I always put it in a clean kitchen towel. And I actually don't use a white one because, it'll turn green. And so this is just my clean, this is the one I kind of use all the time for this. So it has a tinge of green. You can also use cheesecloth, but I think a kitchen towel is sturdier. And it works really well. So I just kind of twist it. See, look at all that liquid.
Could you include your own veggies, and how much extra could you add before the meatloaf starts to fall apart?
So you probably have to keep the ratio kind of the same. So I have 1 pound of meat. Oh, and then I add 2 eggs to this to kind of keep it together. And I have 1 cup of riced cauliflower, and then this 20 ounces of frozen spinach. when I squeeze all the liquid out, it probably is about a cup or a cup and a, maybe just a little bit more than a cup of spinach. So it's like 2 cups of vegetables to 1 pound of meat and 2 eggs. And so you can probably substitute, but keep those ratios intact. You can also use frozen kale. I use that a lot, but I only use a 16-ounce bag of frozen kale because it doesn't release quite as much liquid as spinach. And so when you squeeze out all the liquid, you're still kind of left with the same thing. And people have said, what do you do with this extra liquid? You don't, I mean, if you want to, you can. I have actually used the liquid to add to soups if you want, but you know, it's just like extra liquid that you can just put down the sink. Like it's okay.
Water plants or something.
Yes. You can water plants. The youth of today coming up with
plans to water plants.
Yes.
Yay.
It's actually important. Like, you know, we have rain right now in California, but you know, we had a long period of drought, and that's actually a great idea. Okay, so I'm just going to squeeze out as much liquid as I can. And while I do this, I'm making my easy paleo meatloaf, and I'm sure Lauren, the recipe's on the blog and on the app, and I'm sure Lauren has already linked to it because he is always on top of things. But I really squeeze this really hard because I really want to get all the liquid out because I don't want a super soggy meatloaf. Okay. So I have a pound of ground beef in here. I don't like the super lean stuff. So I like it like 15 to 20%. I'm going to add my 20 ounces of frozen spinach that I thawed and I squeezed out all the liquid. Oh, and people have asked, can I use another type of meat instead of ground beef? Yes, you can. Just make sure it's not super lean or else it might not taste as good. So if you're going to use like ground turkey or ground chicken, use the dark meat stuff. Ground pork works really well. I think in my blog comments, people have said that they've used like ground elk and game. And so if you do use a kitchen towel, I always rinse it right away so then the green color does not stick. But I'll do that afterwards. So I have, yes?
Where can you find frozen kale?
Frozen kale, most grocery stores have frozen kale. Whole Foods for sure. I think like Trader Joe's also has frozen kale. I always have frozen vegetables in the freezer because they're just a source of emergency vegetables. When I say I have no vegetables, I can just look in my freezer and I have some. And they're all washed and pre-cut, and they're normally picked at the peak of freshness. And so you guys should stock up on frozen vegetables. So here is my cup of riced cauliflower, or this is actually riced cauliflower, and broccoli. I have a cup of finely minced shallots and leeks. You can use a regular onion, but make sure you chop it pretty small because you don't want giant hunks of onion in your meatloaf. And so Ollie, I'm going to have you help me right here. Can you crack 2 eggs in here?
No, probably not.
Okay, well can you whisk it for me if I crack them for you?
I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
How do they even crack them?
Here, so you
Okay, co-host.
So here, no, I'll show you. So you want to bang it on a flat surface, not on the edge, and then as soon as there's a crack, you just no, you got to be kunk.
Oh.
Yeah, see, you cracked it, and then here, you just stick your.
I'm scared we're gonna have like cracked eggshell.
No, see,
there's an eggshell thing.
no, there isn't. That's just a thing inside the egg.
Really?
Yeah. So use this fork, pop the yolks, and whisk it until it's all whisked together. And then go. Now you gotta go like this here. And then here, I started for you. Pouring things a whisk. All right.
So, what is so special about the Hue kitchen chocolate?
It's really tasty. This 8-pack has all sorts of different flavors. Like this is crunchy mint dark chocolate. We have a crunchy banana dark chocolate, cashew butter with pure vanilla bean dark chocolate, hazelnut butter dark chocolate, and it's all made with really really right ingredients and it tastes really good.
And could you use frozen spinach instead of frozen kale?
Yes, that's what I'm using right now. In fact, yeah.
There's a piece in there.
What piece? Oh, that little thing that's inside, yeah. I know, there's like a little, sometimes there's a little something in the egg, but it's okay. It's not an eggshell, so it's okay. So I actually use frozen spinach, 20 ounces of frozen spinach that I defrost and wring out. But I also give people the option, okay, I think that's good, of using 16 ounces of frozen kale that you can also wring out and throw in there. But normally I use spinach, but it's whatever you want to use. You can also use collard greens because you can also buy those frozen and chopped. So I'm going to add, so again, this is for the easy paleo meatloaf. I've got a pound of ground beef, a cup of riced cauliflower, a cup of finely minced shallots and leeks, but you can use regular onions. What else is in here? Oh, 20 ounces of frozen spinach that has been defrosted and squeezed out, and this is how much liquid is in there. If you don't squeeze it out, this is all going to make your meatloaf soggy, so you do have to squeeze out the liquid. Okay, I'm going to add, I think in my recipe I asked for like 3 minced garlic cloves, but I like garlic, and these ones were small, so I'm putting in 5. Okay.
Just put all the garlic.
Yes, you can put all the garlic. So I'm going to add this in here. Okay, and then the seasoning for this is a tablespoon and a half of magic mushroom powder. Basically, if you don't know what magic mushroom powder is, it is my favorite seasoning salt. So there is salt in here, but there's also powdered dried porcini mushrooms and then some red pepper flakes and a little bit of thyme. But it makes everything taste super delicious. If you don't have it, you can just use Diamond Crystal Kosher salt in the same amount. If you have a different type of salt or a fine grained salt, like just a fine grained salt or Morton's kosher salt, I would use half of the amount that I asked for. But basically, that's all you need, and it makes it delicious. And this is how much I like. Oh, and if you have a container of magic mushroom powder, it is really important to make sure the edge stays clean so it doesn't stick together. We are working on changing the packaging, but for now, if you happen to have a container, just make sure that you clean it really well, because the dried mushrooms, as soon as any moisture gets in there, it can kind of make it all sticky, and you don't want to be sad that you can't open your magic mushroom powder container. Okay, so I'm going to just put the egg in here. And oh, here, I can give you another part. Ollie doesn't like the parts where his hands get all dirty. So I will do the mixing. But I'm going to add a little bit of, this is just a regular small loaf pan. I'm going to add just a little bit of avocado oil in here, but you can use olive oil or
just put
ghee.
it on the bottom?
Nope, you spread it on all sides. So use a brush. If you don't have a brush, you can use, like a paper towel to kind of move, but you want to get it all over. Okay, so this is all the ingredients in here, except for the bacon, which goes on top. And so I'm just going to go, and I like to use my hands because this way I can feel if everything is mixed together well. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of breaking up the meat and kind of incorporating the other ingredients. You don't want to go super crazy with, kneading the meat, because you don't want it to be super tough, but you also want to make sure everything is well distributed, like all the egg is distributed, the seasoning is distributed. So what I do is I kind of go around and I mix it all around. But also, the thing about this, it probably won't get super tough even if you accidentally over mix it, because there's just so much other stuff that it's hard to become a hard block, because there's all the vegetables and stuff that will keep everything from kind of adhering together. Any other questions?
Not really. Someone asked about the cauliflower, and if it is cauliflower.
It is. This is like I bought a cauliflower and broccoli blend, but it looked like it was mostly cauliflower.
So where could one find this recipe?
This recipe is on the Nom Nom Paleo blog at nomnompaleo.com or on the Nom Nom Paleo iPhone and iPad app. And I'm sure that Lauren is...
So, multiple people are saying that they can't find magic mushroom powder at Costco.
It's not at Costco. It is
so
only,
where can you buy it?
You can only buy it at brick and mortar Whole Food stores. And if you live far away and you're making a special trip, always call ahead of time just to make sure they have it. And if they don't have it, they can order it. We are working to get it online. And that was why we were actually not here doing Facebook Live last week. We went to have a chat with our co-backer and with Whole Foods. So that is in the works. But again, the recipe is on the blog, in my first cookbook, the red one, and on our blog. So you can totally make this yourself if you want to. Okay, so good job, Ollie. Good job getting all of the stuff everywhere.
So how was your meeting, by the way, with Whole Foods?
It went really well.
Also, could you use fresh chopped spinach?
You can. I actually have instructions in my on the blog about if you use fresh spinach, how you would prepare it for this recipe. Okay, so once you have it all greased and you've mixed it all together, and again, as I've told you before, anytime you're kind of mixing, I've made this recipe a bazillion times, but if this is your first time and you're not sure if the seasoning is right, now is the time to take like a little tiny bit of it and fry it up and taste it. And that way you can tell if you have seasoned it enough instead of, baking up your whole meatloaf and then finding out that you under-seasoned it.
Do you use a sauce for meatloaf? If not, do you recommend one?
So in the recipe, I recommend just heating up some marinara sauce. I just use store-bought, like Rayo's. What's it say? But I think this tastes great without it. You can, and I know a lot of people like putting ketchup. And what I actually do is I actually love this, as I've told people and in the blog post, I really recommend people making 2 of these at a time because it doesn't take that much more time to make a second one, and you can pop them in the oven at the same time to bake off, and you'll have 2 without any extra work. And so what I do is I slice up the leftover, like it's been in the fridge, and I slice them up, and then I fry them up until they're nice and brown. And then after it's fried and tasty, I actually put sriracha on it, and it tastes really good.
So,
and I have a paleo sriracha recipe. I have a paleo recipe that has honey as a sweetener, and I also have a Whole30 sriracha recipe. But the only problem with sriracha is that it's hard to find red jalapenos or Fresno peppers right now because they're normally in season in the summertime.
Could you use a ceramic dish for your meatloaf instead? And does it a ceramic dish?
You can use a ceramic. I've used a glass loaf pan. I think the glass loaf pan doesn't conduct heat as well as a metal one, so I really do like making it better in a metal one. But you can use a ceramic one.
Also,
I'm just topping this with 3 pieces of bacon.
Is there an egg substitute?
I'm not sure. I have not tried this without the egg, and I'm not sure that like a flax, egg is the appropriate binder. You might be able to do something like instead of using riced cauliflower, maybe using some cauliflower puree. That might actually keep it together. But I'm not really sure. I mean, I think you could leave it out because the meat will kind of keep things together, but just know that it might fall apart a little more. And so I just kind of add these 3 pieces of bacon on top. And sometimes they're like a little bit longer, and so I just kind of crinkle up the pieces of bacon. This is gonna go into a 350-degree oven for about 50 minutes. I'm gonna wash my hands. Until it's cooked through, but normally, here, let me wash my hands and I'll tell you guys.
Is this in your cookbook?
Nope. This was developed pretty recently, so no. I mean, the thing with cookbooks is that they go to the printer about 8 months ahead of when it comes out. And so most of the recipes, like from our yellow cookbook, have been, you know, I worked those out a while ago. And so since then, I've developed other recipes, and this is one of them. Okay, so this goes into a 350-degree oven for about 50 minutes. And then you just, and you can tell when it's cooked through because it'll come away from the edges a little bit. And you can also stab it with a meat thermometer if you want to double check. And if it's like 165 degrees Fahrenheit, then it's fine. And then I crank up the oven to broil, and I brown the bacon on top. So this is one that I made ahead of time because, as I said before, it's always better to make more than one. I'm going to cut this up. And so once you take it out of the oven, so I broiled it, and so you can see that the bacon on top is nice and crispy. I'm going to pop this out, and I will slice it up.
What kind of bacon did you use again?
So this bacon, I think I got from the farmer's market. So it's just a local farmer who makes bacon. But like, I like buying like Applegate, Welshire, Belcampo has really great bacon. So there's a lot of places that make really great bacon. All right, so I'm gonna just pop this out. Oops.
Someone asked if you could make this in the Instant Pot.
You know, I was experimenting with that, and I know that a lot of people can make meatloaf recipes in the Instant Pot, but I think it makes it really, you're basically steaming the meatloaf, and so I like this better.
I mean, if you like steamed like ground meat, then
yeah,
sure.
I mean, I know a lot of people who have made it in the Instant Pot, like when they have meatloaf recipes, and then they end up browning it under the oven, but I don't know. I think I actually really like this, and I tried really hard to come up with one I liked, and I didn't like it. So this is what it is. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this into a slice because we're gonna have this for dinner.
So can you
and
use?
It's really moist and tasty.
Sorry.
No, it's good. I'm gonna give you guys some. I'm gonna feed it to my children because I think there were people like, how can your kids eat this? How can they not complain about all the vegetables? And I'm like, I don't know.
We don't really care.
Yeah, we don't really care, right? I mean, I think if you feed your kids vegetables and you don't make a big deal about it, they'll eat it. And if it tastes good, they'll eat it.
Yeah, I don't really eat vegetables.
Alright, so people asked, like, what do you serve with this? So I actually made a, I'm going to give you guys these to try. I made a vegetable soup in the Instant Pot over there. So we're going to have vegetable soup and this easy paleo meatloaf for dinner.
Thanks. Okay, so
ta-da! Here, try
we
it.
still have some stuff. Could you use prosciutto instead of bacon?
You could use prosciutto instead of bacon. Yeah, you can totally use prosciutto instead of bacon.
Also,
you just have to make sure you don't burn it when you're broiling because it is lower fat.
Can you use rice cauliflower?
I did use rice cauliflower. That is what is in there. But not frozen. I tried using frozen, and frozen rice cauliflower really does make this very waterlogged. Because like I just took this out, and there's like a little bit of grease from like the meat and stuff, but it's not a bunch of liquid from the vegetables. Anything else?
We asked the prosciutto. Oh, could you use prosciutto instead of bacon? Did we ask that?
Yes.
Oh, well, I should really like. Wow. Okay.
No, that's cool. All right. How does it taste? It's good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you guys eat this all the time, and this keeps really well in the fridge, and it slices really well when it's like chilled, and then I just pan fry it, and it tastes really delicious pan fried. And I actually make really thin slices that I fry. But the first time I make it, I actually like if I'm eating it straight from the oven, I make a bigger slice. And so this is what we're gonna have. And so I'm gonna have Lauren pick a winner who's gonna win this 8-pack of Q Kitchen chocolates, which will be perfect for Valentine's. People were like, what are you making for Valentine's? I'm like, Nothing special. It's just gonna be family dinner for us, right?
Yeah. So we have a winner, but first, can we freeze the meatloaf?
Yes, you can freeze the meatloaf. Just make sure it's well wrapped. And I would thaw it in the refrigerator overnight, so you can slice it easily. But frying the slices is like a game changer. It's amazing.
All right. So our winner today is Tina Rungan Loomis.
Yay, Tina! So I'm gonna have Hugh Kitchen send you guys a brand new pack of this instead of the ones that I've touched. But you will love these. Da, da, da. These are from Hugh Kitchen.
All right, that's it.
All right, so thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back next week. I'm not sure what I'm making next week. Possibly my Instapot Magic Short Ribs, which is the latest recipe on the blog. But that's it. I will see you guys next week. Have a great Valentine's. Bye, guys.